Hi, Ghost Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain an action, war, and drama film called The Water Diviner. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The story begins in 1915 in Turkey, when the war was going on at Gallipoli. Major Hassan is preparing for his final attack. Passing by his soldiers, he orders a child in his unit to bring his binoculars. As soon as the child is gone, the soldiers attack the enemies. The enemies start firing, and manage to kill some of them. Finally, they are able to reach their trench but discover that it is just a booby trap that enables the gun to fire. Eventually, after 7 months, the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, also known as ANZAC, retreated. And here the Ottoman Empire triumphed. 4 years after the Battle of Gallipoli, we are shown in northwestern Victoria, Australia, where we see a man named Joshua, who is also a farmer and water diviner. He used to find water in the ground using the dowsing method, as the place where he lived was a barren area, so he had to draw water from the ground. He is very happy when he finds water. He goes to his house at night, where his wife Eliza is cleaning the children's shoes. She tells Joshua that the children have gone to sleep but are waiting for you to listen to the story. Joshua is very tired, but still he goes to his children's room and starts reading the book, but the room is empty. Here we learn that they had 3 sons who died in the Battle of Gallipoli 4 years ago, but Eliza is not ready to accept that they are dead. She is also in a mental state, and she still believes that her son is alive. Eliza expresses that, being a good person at finding water, why can't Joshua find his children? Joshua had no answer to this question. He was also very sad to lose his sons, but perhaps he had assumed that he had been killed in the war because if he was alive, he would have been home in 4 years. What have come? Joshua remembers the moment when his sons were going to war. As he falls asleep, he remembers his sons. The next morning, Joshua wakes up to find that his wife has committed suicide. He hugs his dead wife and starts crying loudly. Joshua is completely broken by this accident. Now he is all alone. Eliza has always wanted Joshua to find their sons, so Joshua promised his dead wife that he would bring their children home and bury them beside her. He leaves for Turkey after burying Eliza. Meanwhile, we see Major Hassan and Sergeant Jemal being taken back to Gallipoli. They arrive at the excavation site, and the escort introduces them to Lieutenant Colonel Cyril Hughes. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes asks Major Hassan to help recover the remains of ANZAC soldiers on the battlefield so that they can be found and buried respectfully. Major Hassan agrees, but he reminds Lieutenant Colonel Hughes that he too lost over 10,000 men during the battle. Now we see Joshua, who is traveling to Turkey, when he remembers an incident when his 3 sons went hunting, and when there was a sandstorm in the desert, Joshua runs out to pick them up. He covers them with a sheet and encourages them. When he reaches Istanbul after 3 months of travel, a boy offers him a hotel to stay in, which Joshua declines, but the boy sticks to the offer. He asks a soldier how to get to Gallipoli, to which the soldier replies that you cannot go there without a permit. Without her knowing, the boy already grabbed her bag and ran away. Joshua follows the boy until they reach their hotel. Joshua enters the hotel and is greeted by Aisha, the receptionist, and the mother of the kid, named Orhan. When Aisha finds out that Joshua is an Australian, she immediately says that they do not have a room anymore. Just then, a man named Omar walks in and tells Joshua that there is still room for him. Having no choice, Aisha agrees, and Omar orders Orhan to take Joshua to his room. Before entering, Joshua asks Orhan if he can take him to the war office the next day in exchange for money, to which Orhan agrees. After some time, Aisha rushes to Joshua's room to give him a towel. After talking for a while, Joshua tells Aisha that he is going to Gallipoli. Reliving some of her memories, she says that there are nothing but ghosts in Gallipoli now. And the next day, Orhan would not go with him to the war office. The next day, Joshua goes to the war office to obtain a permit to go to Gallipoli, but he fails. He tries to show the picture of his sons to the military officer. The reason why he wants to go there is because he wants to find the bones of his sons and take them with him. He also wants to bury him with his mother, but the officer tells him that thousands of such skeletons are buried in that land, and now that is their home. I can't let you go to Gallipoli, you go back home. Rallies were being taken out in Turkey against British people. Turkish people still haven't forgotten the war, and they hate British people. Aisha was also one of them. One day Joshua was having breakfast, then Aisha's father asked Joshua in Turkish where his wife and children were, but Joshua could not understand their language. Then Aisha translated and said that my father was asking about your wife and children. But Joshua had no answer to this question. Aisha understands by looking into his eyes that Joshua has no one in this world, and then Aisha realizes why Joshua wants to go to Gallipoli. She tells him to bribe a local fisherman to get to Gallipoli even without a permit. As he is about to leave the hotel, Orhan follows him and pleads for him to find his father. Joshua is surprised that Omar is not his father but his uncle. Joshua leaves, promising that he will try. At Gallipoli, Joshua's boat is spotted by soldiers. They corner him and take him to Lieutenant Colonel Hughes, as ordered. In his tent, Joshua talks to Lieutenant Colonel Hughes and Major Hassan about their children. As Joshua shows Lieutenant Colonel Hughes a map of where his sons may be, a picture from the diary drops. As Major Hassan picked up the photo, he was startled as he recognized Joshua's son. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes promises Joshua they will do everything they can, but they cannot let him stay. Joshua is told that he should go back, but the stubborn Joshua does not go back and sits on the beach. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes tells his men to give him food and blankets. The next morning, Joshua was still on the island. Major Hassan, Sergeant Jemal, and Lieutenant Colonel Hughes talk about him. Then, Major Hassan tells Lieutenant Colonel Hughes that we should help this man, as he is the only father who has come to find his sons. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes says that it is very difficult to find his sons, and you also know this, and then Major Hassan says that I know about the place where his sons died. Reassured, they begin searching for the remains of Joshua's children. As Joshua looks around the battlefield, we see a flashback of his children fighting in battle. The three brothers, Arthur, Edward, and Henry, were fighting together. As the three are about to retreat, Arthur steps on a landmine, and he gets injured. Both of his brothers had gone into cover, but to save his brother, both brothers came forward and started cover firing, but then a machine gun killed them. In the present, Joshua is able to locate them, and the soldier begins digging. The soldier obtains a dog tag and identifies it as one of Joshua's sons. Lieutenant Colonel Hughes tags him, and a soldier adds to his pain. Saying that his son is dead because of Major Hassan, he attacks him but is stopped by Sergeant Jemal. Then, other soldiers take Joshua away as ordered by Lieutenant Colonel Hughes. Later, Lieutenant Colonel Hughes gives another tag to Joshua. Joshua says that we still have to find Arthur, and Lieutenant Colonel Hughes says that we searched everywhere but could not find him. Joshua is really determined to get his sons back to their mother, but Lieutenant Colonel Hughes says that you should bury him here because now this is his home. Joshua obeys them and buries his two sons. At sunset, Joshua reads Henry and Edward's favorite story at their graves. The next morning, Joshua is packing his things to leave. Then Major Hassan comes, who shows him a list. He tells Joshua that this list is of the prisoners who were taken prisoner, meaning that Arthur did not die in battle but may still be alive somewhere. Hearing this, Joshua is very happy inside. Next, we see Joshua back at the hotel. The next day he goes to the War Office to find out about Arthur and where he is imprisoned, but the officer does not help him. He tells Joshua that I told you not to go to Gallipoli yet. Why did you go there? He snatches Joshua's passport and says that I will come to you on Thursday with your passport and Kolkata ticket, and you will be sent to Australia via Kolkata. With another officer outside, the officer offers to help Joshua find his son's prison papers. Joshua thanks him and promptly follows Major Hassan to a secret hideout. But Major Hassan insists that he cannot help him anymore, so Joshua returns to the hotel. Afterward, Joshua, Aisha, and Orhan go out and spend time together. Then, Joshua and Aisha talk about their lives before saying goodnight to each other. Aisha suddenly starts crying in her room. Here we come to know that Aisha's husband has been killed in the Gallipoli War, but she still believes that her husband is alive, and this was also her compulsion because her husband's brother Omar, who was married, now wanted Aisha to be his second wife, and he was pressurizing her that she would have to marry for Orhan's future. But she always avoided him by saying, "My husband is alive, I cannot marry again." Just like that, there is a fight between them regarding the marriage, and Omar starts beating Aisha. Then Joshua comes there and pushes Omar down. This makes Omar very angry and threatens to kill Joshua. Aisha is also angry with Joshua. He tells him that you by interrupting and making things worse. She asks him to leave the hotel. Hearing this, Joshua takes his bag and starts to leave the hotel, although Orhan does not want him to go. As Joshua comes out, Omar and his men begin to beat him, but Sergeant Jemal arrives and takes Joshua with him, and Orhan takes Joshua's bag to the hotel. Then we see Joshua talking to Major Hassan and Sergeant Jemal. The sergeant tells Joshua that he knows where Arthur may be held. Afterwards, they head back to the hideout and drink with each other, forming a friendship that lasts through the night. Major Hassan tells a story to Joshua. When the Gallipoli War was going on, I met the first Australian boy. Major says it was a young boy who was moving towards me. He was on our target. 1,000 guns were deployed on him. He came to me and we smoked together, but when he left, I realized that he stole my cigarettes. That night, Joshua goes back to the hotel to collect his bag, where Aisha apologizes to him and cooks food for him. That night, both of them talked a lot. Maybe they both started loving each other. The next morning, the officer comes to the hotel, as today he was going to send Joshua back to Australia, but Joshua does not want to leave without finding his son, so he escapes with Aisha's help. He requests that Major Hassan and Sergeant Jemal take him with them. It is morning, and they travel by train. Major Hassan saw a cloud of smoke in the nearby town and saw people coming out. Just then, the train stops, and they are suddenly ambushed. Greek soldiers arrive and kill everyone except Joshua, Sergeant Jemal, and Major Hassan. Major Hassan tells the Greek soldiers not to harm Joshua, as he is just a prisoner. Then, the Greeks spare Joshua's life and plan to kill the two soldiers outside. But Joshua saves them using a cricket bat, and a fight breaks out. Unfortunately, Sergeant Jemal dies in the struggle, but both are able to escape using horses. They stop for a while to rest the horse and drink water. Then, Major Hassan promises Joshua that he will stay with him until he finds his son. Both keep on traveling and reach a town. Joshua sees a familiar windmill from his dream. He runs to a church, where he sees his son Arthur after 4 years. When he left home, he didn't even expect to find his son's bones. But luckily, one of his sons was standing in front of him alive, which can be a matter of happiness for a father. Joshua and his eldest son, Arthur, have a tearful reunion. Then Major Hassan comes there. Joshua wants them to come home, but his son refuses. He says he couldn't take care of his brothers. He says that Henry was shot in the face. He only lived for a few moments and then left us, but Edward bled for hours, and he was writhing in pain. He couldn't stop breathing. Then he told Arthur to shoot me, and then Arthur picked up Henry's rifle and shot Edward in the head, although he did not want to do so, but he was crying out in pain. I killed my own brother. That's why I don't want to come home. Joshua cries because of his son's reappraisal. But instead of blaming him, Joshua takes the blame and responsibility for letting his children go to war. Joshua tells her that your mother is no more, and I have no one in this world except you. I will not go home without you. Meanwhile, the sound of gunfire is heard nearby. Major Hassan tells Joshua that the Greeks are coming and he needs to leave. Before leaving, Major Hassan tells Joshua to tell your son to return my cigarettes. Meaning that it was Arthur who stole Major Hassan's cigarettes among 1,000 enemies. Arthur and Joshua escape through a tunnel. After 3 weeks, they both reach Aisha's hotel. Aisha is very happy to see that Joshua has found her son. She expresses her love by making sweet coffee for Joshua, and the movie ends. At the end of the movie, we are shown that when the First World War broke out, 37 million soldiers and civilians were killed between 1914 and 1918, of whom 8 million were missing.